Hi everyone, today we are going to give you a presentation. My name is Jie. I will be the one introducing the case study, and my partner Wenyu, Chen陈宇是哪个词儿呢？喂，若许
Hi.
and
Hi.
Yiting
Yes.
will answer the 4 questions about the case. It's from part 2 of part 2 of. Okay, so the case study we are going to discuss is from part 2 of our textbook. They are on pages 62 to 63 and continued on pages 89 to 90. The title is India's Economy at the Crossroads. Can Prime Minister Narendra Modi deliver H-Din? H-Din is a Hindi word. It means good days. Deliver H-Din was his campaign slogan. In the context of the case study, H-Din means prosperity for all, or the economic growth of the country. The case study starts with a background of India's economy. From 2008 to 2012, India suffered a financial crisis brought about by the global recession. In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was elected. He launched modernization initiatives and he worked toward bringing in more foreign investments to the country. And his efforts paid off. Following the financial recession, India was the fastest growing large economy. However, growth has been decreasing since 2017. Prime Minister Modi has a big challenge in front of him. He is a reformist and he has been launching economic reform initiatives. Some come to fruition, but some get blocked by opposition parties. So, what were these initiatives? One was a change in a legislation that would have made it easier for foreign investors to acquire land from greenfield investment. But this was not pushed because of negative publicity and opposition from rural voters. Another initiative was when Modi changed the policy to left foreign single brand retailers have a 3-year grace period to comply with the rule that at least 30% of the manufactured materials must be sourced from India. Tech retailers that offer state of the art products have an additional 5 years. With this policy change, Apple could have opened their own stores in India, but was rejected by India's finance minister. In contrast, Amazon was able to enter in India and learning from their previous mistake in a different market. Amazon took into account the adjustments in operations based on cultural differences that needed to be made. Amazon accepted cash payments because many people were used to paying by cash. Amazon also set up tables in stores where people were welcome used to order their products for those people who did not have their own devices to order from. This global strategy paid off, even though Amazon could not sell its own products. Its investment in India have been profitable. Another change was that foreign investors could now own 100% of an Indian airline compared to 49% from before. Also, they could own 100% of arms-related projects. Because of this, Boeing from the United States started partnering with Tata Advanced Systems from India to make aircraft frames. Prime Minister Modi also planned to increase innovation in the country, and through fast internet and low-cost smartphones, e-commerce startup increased. However, big India IT companies such as Wipro, Infosys, and TCS, that have benefited from the outsourcing trend of the Western companies, now facing the threats from competitions. Amazon and Microsoft started offering non-traditional IT services such as cloud-based services. Other IT companies such as IBM and Accenture were expanding their IT services. Wipro, Infosys, and TCS and other Indian IT companies therefore were facing challenges. Another thing that Prime Minister Modi did was demonetization. In this economic reform, overnight he announced the cancellation of 500 and 1,000 currency notes. This was to reduce black money, money from illegal activities, as well as money from legal ones but not declared as taxable income. Because of the cancellation, people had to go to the bank to deposit or exchange their big bills. As a result, $220 billion started to circulate in the country's economy. It also brought about fintech startup. Another reform that Prime Minister Modi did was launch a national sales tax system. This was to eliminate the red tape that curbed India's economic growth.
So that
Okay, so the
was
case study we are going to discuss is from part 2 of
Sai.
our textbook.
So that was a case study. Now let's look at and try to answer the questions. When you will discuss the first question.
Thanks, Daniel. The first question is, social activists and political opponents in India have voiced objection to Modi's liberalization initiatives. What do you think is the nature of some of these objections? Our group think the nature of the objection of the social activities and the political opponents, well, obviously, is all political. The political opponents will always highlight the cons of any economic reform initiatives by Prime Minister Modi because they want him to look bad. They want to paint him in a negative light. That way, he will become unpopular with the people. This serves the interest of the political opponents because they want to take over. They want the power for themselves. They want to beat Modi in the next elections. The social activists who are journalists and those from NGOs, on the other hand, may seem like they are the voice of the common people and that their goal is to show where the government is failing and how they could do better. However, in India, media and NGOs has political affiliations. They are associated with particular political groups. Thus, their writings and their rhetoric are influenced by their political affiliations. Media organizations benefit from their relationship with the political parties, and to maintain that relationship, they support their partner politicians by talking them up in the news and also put forth negative opinions on the other parties. So the goals of the social activities are also political. The political opponents and the social activities seek political gain when they object to Modi liberalization initiatives. Perhaps on some level, they do care about the well-being of the mass people in India, but more often than that, they just have other ulterior motives. They just want to get something for themselves. Now let's move on to the second question.
Thank you, Wenyu. Let's move to question 2. Question 2 asks, do you think Modi's large number of social media likes and followers are indicative of his potential to achieve economic reform? So for this question, our group's answer is yes, but not absolutely. Prime Minister Modi gets a huge number of likes and lots of positive comments about him on social media. So what's that mean? It means that people like him, right? So they agree with his vision. They love to support him to the extent that the people will have his back on his economic reform initiatives. So yes, this will help him achieve his goals. However, we must remember that in India have a lengthy democratic process, and the country has a highly political climate because of the differences in beliefs, views, and religions. And people capitalize on these differences to serve their own purposes, which could mean that some initiatives may take a backseat and even lose momentum when political agendas prompt some people to oppose and appeal and or reject, right? So that is why economic reform initiatives must be carefully thought out and carefully executed. So, all in all, the answers to the question is yes. People's support can help Modi achieve his economic reform because this shows that objections are unlikely. However, it does not really predict Modi's success unless he designs and implements the right actions and policy. So that is all. Thank you. And next, I will hand you to Ruoxi, and he will talk about the next question.
Okay, thank you, Chen Yu. Okay, so question 3 asks, assess Modi's two main economic reforms, namely dominization and tax reform. Okay, so why did Prime Minister Modi decide to demonetize? Demonetization was done for the intention of bringing money in cash to the bank, that it would get into the country's financial system and go through the proper channels. The circulation of this money in the market would help the economic. Dominization would help eliminate black money and counterfeit notes. Dominization would also lead to a cashless society, which the government was aiming to do. The intent was good. The implementation could have been done better. In India, many people are used to cash transactions. Some business in the village and the same urban area rely on cash, and the average people do not have bank accounts. These people have been affected negatively the most. Some people who have banks and should put their money in their banks hold their cash in their homes because they do not want to pay tax. For this reason, Prime Minister Modi was right in his decision. This cash, instead of sitting in people's prepared, there is only a limited amount of notes that a person can exchange for. Some small businesses that have been used to cash transactions and have not yet adopted a cashless system face the difficulties. This means that they would have to go to the bank daily to exchange their cash. The banks were filled with people. The lines were too long. That a bank earned would take a whole day, and many people had to go back to the bank many times to finish their exchange transaction. This disrupted the business and also affected the income of the people who relied on daily wages. Eventually, India was able to cope with the change. In retrospect, The big economic reform like domesticization should have been planned more and executed better, because many people have no choice. But urban the cashless system, e-commerce boomed every more in the country. Moreover, hoarded money was put in the financial system, which improved the economic. People started to pay proper tax, and black money was significantly reduced. People may have complained about this economics reform at that time, but overall, the country has benefited from it greatly. Now, moving on the assessment of a tax reform. The tax reform nationalized the tax system in India. Goods have always been taxed at a difficult price. What Modi did was make a national tax system, because India is composed of federal states. In the past, tax rates were different in different states. The Indians are used to paying different tax according to different states, but the foreign investors are not. Thus, Modi's goals in this economic reform of national tax system was to encourage foreign investments. When the tax system was not nationalized yet, foreign investors would get confused with the tax system, and this could discourage them. Because of Modi's decision to nationalize the tax system, foreign investments grew in India. This also helped grow the economic. And so, let's move on to the last questions. Yixuan will give us a group's answer.
Yes, thank you, Ruoxu. The last question is, what must Wipro, Infosys, TCS, and other companies in India's IT sector do to avoid being victimized by new trends in technology? Okay, so we know that Wipro, Infosys, TCS are giant names in the India's IT industry. In India, everyone knows these companies. This name are good recognized globe in the IT industry. These companies operate in multiple countries. However, IT industry is changing drastically, which means that Wipro, Infosys, TCS are facing threats, but they are also presented with opportunities. These India IT companies have to keep up with the trends of the industry if they do not want to become obsolete. So many changes are happening, and of the major ones are the cloud-based service being created and offered by big names: Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. These big technology companies threaten to take over the market share of the India IT companies. What does this mean for Wipro, Infosys, TCS? If they and other big IT companies in India want to stay in business, they have to innovate. They simply have to. Their business model traditionally offered cheap labor for high skills to companies. With the changing trends in the industry, so the India IT companies also have to change. What does this look like? Well, for one, they have to add new capabilities. The skill of their employers may need to be updated. Their workforce must gain new skills, and this may require training for old employers and hiring new employers that have these skills. The companies may also consider acquiring startup technology companies. This so they could increase their service and increase their clientele base.
the companies could also innovate their own new technology service and not just provide service to the clients for the already existing ones. Overall, the strategy needed is innovation. Every day something new is happening. Wipro, Infosys, TCS, and other big-name Indian IT companies must also create their new. They must always keep updating their service as required by the changing needs of their current potential clients. So there you have it, the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you learned something from us.